our work session agenda for March 14th, 2019. It is currently 11:40, and we're starting our work session discussion with EPCAL contract timeline discussions. I've asked everybody to come so we can update the board where we are. We are currently have the signed contract in place. Calverton Aviation and Technology had their first due diligence period was the first 90 days, which I believe ended on February 17th. And they requested an extension of the second due diligence period, which they did do in a timely fashion. They have extended that, and the second due diligence period will end on May 20th. At what point they will have to decide whether they want to move forward to go to closing. But while that is taking place, there is also some things that need to happen from the town, which is getting the subdivision map approved through the planning board. It's actually an amended subdivision map. Originally, the subdivision map was submitted to the planning board as a 50-lot subdivision, so we've amended it to the 8-lot subdivision, which is the subdivision that we had when we went into sale, and then we'll be selling them 3 of the lots in the subdivision. So I will turn it over. Did you wanna start?
Right, picking up from where you left off, just so that the board has a overall picture of this thing. Assuming that the purchaser elects to go forward at the end of the due diligence, which they have to give us notice by 5 p.m. on May 20th, 2019. If they do go forward, the town has 1 year from that date to get the subdivision approval from all the agencies that are required and have the map recorded in the county center. That's the primary.
Excuse me, is there an issue or problem?
No, I just was
Are we
highlighting.
missing something?
No, I just
We were
wanted
wondering
to.
where Dawn Thomas was.
Oh,
Oh,
I was
she
gonna
was
address that.
She was scheduled to be a part of it, but since the special board meeting went for so long, she had a scheduled meeting,
Okay.
so she told me she had to step
That's all.
out.
Okay.
I apologize.
So basically,
May
if they
19th,
do go
2020
forward
is
with the
deadline
contract,
for subdivision.
the town has a year from that date to May 20th, 2020 to get the map file. We have started the process of getting the subdivision map approved. We're filing papers today with the planning board of the town, and we're meeting with them on next Thursday at their work session to introduce the amended map to them. And the plan is that whatever questions they have or things they want to tweak on the map itself will be taken care of quickly, because we're hoping to be on their April 4th agenda for them to schedule the public hearing on our amended preliminary plat subdivision application. And that hearing, if they do schedule it in April, will be on their May 2nd meeting.
So that would be the public hearing,
That would
will
be the
take
public
place on May
hearing.
2nd on the
Yes.
amended subdivision.
That would be the actual public hearing on the map itself.
That's pretty wishful thinking.
No,
You're gonna move that quick?
we've been working on this since they signed the contract, so everybody's been doing a great job.
And you may remember that we were before the planning board and in public hearings on the 50-lot preliminary map.
Yeah, right.
So
So they're familiar.
they're fully familiar with the property and the issues that are there. We went through all the CEQA process with the 50-lot map, and we feel that this should go fairly expeditiously,
It's
because
less
it's a
arduous.
lesser development
Right.
plan than what we were with them before. Simultaneously with this, we are putting together, we're hoping that when the planning board schedules the public hearing on at their April meeting, they will make a CEQA finding. That CEQA finding will allow us to then file our application with the Suffolk County Health Department. We need subdivision approval from them as well. And we are putting in place now our application to the DEC, which is the 3rd subdivision approval we need. And that's limited to just getting a subdivision permit from them under the Wild Rivers and Scenic Rivers Act, and nothing else. We do not need a taking permit from the DEC based on what they've told us in terms of the habitats, because it's a vacant land subdivision. So that is basically the story on the permitting that we need from the planning board and from the health department and the DEC. The other things that we are in the process of doing and that you're going to be working on is, and this will be at the town board level, is the expansion of the Calverton Sewer District to incorporate this new area into it. So you'll be going it over the next several months, you'll be doing, asked to hold a hearing on a map and plan and things of that nature, and you also are in the process now of the upgrade of the sewer plant, which is a component of the DEC approval for the expansion. So, will be on your plate. And the other thing that we need to get in place is the expansion of the Riverhead Water District. We have an application that's been pending with the DEC for some time on that, and that's just gonna have to get resolved. There's really nothing more for this board to do at this point, because you've authorized the expansion. It just has to get DEC approval on it. So those are really the balls that are up in the air at this point on the process. And I do know, and I can report that the purchaser is actively investigating the property as we sit here. They're doing field work out there. I think they're looking into the options of development, where they can put buildings in terms of minimizing impacts on habitats, and I think they're intending to talk to the DEC if they haven't already about that.
Along with that line of thought, when can we expect to get a definitive answer from the DEC as to how many acres will be developable?
You will not get a decision in this process at all from the DEC on that question. Basically, what's gonna happen right now is the DEC is only going to approve, knocking on wood, our subdivision application under the Wild and Scenic Rivers Act. That's all they're looking at. That will have nothing to do with development of the property whatsoever. After we sell the property, the applicant is going to have to go not only here to the town for either site plan approval, or if they're gonna further subdivide it, or whatever their plans are gonna be in terms of actual development. But they are gonna have to go most likely, or at least show the DEC, that they are not building or proposing to build in sensitive areas for habitat. So they're gonna have to get approval from the DEC, or at least the blessing from the DEC.
Right.
More likely than not, they will need some type of a taking permit from the DEC. When we talked about this at the DEC, at a meeting that I attended about a year ago or so, when they told us we no longer needed to go for the permit based on this change of the development. The DEC told the purchaser at the meeting that it's really gonna depend where you wanna place your development. We had placed it on our 50-acre map in such a way where they knew there was gonna be impact, and therefore we had to come up with the comprehensive plan of
Right.
where we're gonna preserve areas for habitat. Because they have a blank slate right now, the DEC's waiting. And so you come to us and show us where you wanna put development, then you're gonna find out.
But the onus is on them.
Oh, totally on, and this will be after they buy it.
All right.
This
Yeah.
will be, it's not a condition of the closing, it has nothing to do with the closing whatsoever. And so that will drive not only how much development, but where the development's gonna be, and what requirements they're gonna have to meet. And whatever they do in terms of development there, and wherever it goes, they're going to have to go through CEQA on each application. And it may be that they can find that what they're actually proposing has already been studied by ours, and to the extent it has, they won't have to do new CEQA. But to the extent it is anything different, both in size, dimension, or concept, or whatever, or location, they may very well have to do supplemental environmental reports and studies. That's their
all on them.
problem, that's all on them,
Yeah,
and,
right.
and it's not something that we control whatsoever at this point.
Take care of it.
So, you won't know where or how much is being developed until we're no longer owning the property.
And they come before the planning board for public hearings.
They're gonna have to come to planning board, they're
Or
gonna-
town board.
Town board.
Town board.
Town board
Town
for public
board, yeah.
hearings.
And
Yeah.
remember,
Just
pursuant
planning
to
board for
state
subdivision.
law, one of the first steps will be on any application for site plan approval that will come to this town board, is gonna be an analysis of all involved and interested agencies of whether or not it's consistent with the town's reuse and revitalization plan. That reuse and revitalization plan is based upon the final supplemental generic environmental impact statement that you, as a town board, adopted. Even if all the other agencies agreed it was consistent, it's gonna be this town board that has final say.
That's great.
So exciting.
It is
It
exciting.
is
It's
exciting. A lot of movement going on
I've been
out
here
there.
12 years and it's been on the market for 20.
Yep, and we've already started the process with the sewer district and calling for the public hearing for the,
That's for the plant
for the
improvements.
expenditure, the $10 million expenditure to expand the plant.
But why don't we just let them finish with the presentation? So do you want to show, so that, as far as the subdivision goes, Jeff, what have you guys been doing with the subdivision? Where,
What, Frank
Well,
already,
but you, so,
Here's the maps, the cover letter
the-
for the planning board. They're gonna get to review it before their March 21st, 3 PM meeting.
Next
So they can kinda have, before we even talk about it on the
They had
record.
asked that we provide them with the maps by today, so it'll get in their packets over the weekend.
okay,
And that's why they accommodated us to get onto their
March
meeting
22nd.
next week.
Very good.
They were very courteous to get us,
Yeah.
early on their agenda.
Jeff Seaman has been working with all of us really, but Dawn and I in particular, on doing a consistency analysis for this proposed map versus the 50 lot.
and that's why it's just amended instead of starting from scratch, we're just using, it's the same area, it's just, it's being divided up,
Reconfigured a little.
it's a
configured.
lot less intense.
Correct.
I think it's probably much
Correct.
simpler
It's like
application.
even a private developer goes to the planning board with a 10-lot subdivision, changes their mind, says we want a 4-lot subdivision.
Yeah, right.
That's basically what the analogy is here. And Jeff, I think, has told us that he has no problem with a finding that there's no further sequel work that needs to be done for this application after he does his report.
Jeffrey.
Jeff.
Jeff. Okay, and then, Michael, do you just wanna just describe what's going on with the sewer district over there and where we are with that?
Oh, the plant's looking at going through an upgrade, and which can be subject of a public hearing for Tuesday, for increasing the bond authorization for that. The one really has nothing to do with the
Right, so
other.
you wanna just address the map and plan for this, cause I think you're gonna, are you speaking about the other, for the sewer district, but you wanna just
Yeah,
address
I'm
for the
just-
map?
Yeah, the H2M has sent over a proposal to prepare a map and plan to extend the sewer district boundaries to include the subject parcel. We're just waiting for an account number so that we can give them the purchase order, and they can then prepare the map and plan, which will be approved by town board, and then will be subject of a public hearing to extend the district boundaries.
And so, the map and plan takes about, how long, a couple months to get done?
You look about 60 days at least.
Okay, and then there's a public hearing for that, and then a estoppel period,
There's a 30-day referendum period after the public hearing.
so for that, we shouldn't be too far past the May 20th date in completing all of that. Okay.
Very good.
And for the health department, where do we sit with the application for the health department?
We will file that once we conclude secret.
Okay, so that may be
So-
able to be filed sort of right after the May 2nd date, and then,
No, I
Five
believe our goal is
After April
secret will be complete prior to April 4th.
okay, prior to April 4th.
You don't need
After
secret
April
to file.
Hmm?
You don't need secret to file.
with the health
Before they
department.
approve it,
No, they'll require a finding from us
I have
to
the
file
application.
it. But we're gonna have it anyway, we're gonna have it.
I
So then-
take back everything I said. I didn't realize you guys were working so hard on this.
So when it goes to the health department, how long does it take for the health department to review?
It depends.
What's, like, depending 4 months, depending 1 month, depending?
It could be as little as 1 month, it could be as long as 6 months.
And what would that just depend on what they have in the queue?
Yeah, and we're also investigating whether or not we may qualify for certain exemptions required under the sanitary code.
Because it's,
Due to
because
the
it's
lot
land,
size.
to the
You know,
lot size, okay.
5 acre lot sizes.
And that will
But we're
make their
investing.
review a lot
Condensed.
less, detailed.
Okay.
And if we have to go through a full review of everything, it's anybody's guess. It takes time for them to process it, and 5 months is an estimate.
Okay.
And on the DEC permit for the subdivision, they have told us that they would expect it to be completed in about a 5-month to 6-month period. They have to go through publication and, their procedures, and they,
So we're looking August, September possibly, if all goes well?
yes.
Okay, very good job.
Closing by the end of the year, you think?
That's what we're aiming for, by fall, we're aiming for
If the
fall.
stars and the moons will line up, and of course, if
with that done, I'll tell you that.
they agree to go forward at the end of their due diligence, then, we're pushing this all now before they make that decision, just to have it going, so
Right,
that
we're
if
gonna
it's-
need it anyway.
If it's done, then we can close.
Very good.
Good.
And Legislator
very much.
Prupsky,
Yeah,
I'm
good
sure
day.
will assist with anything that we need with the county, so if you need to reach out to him through this process, when we get
Just gotta
comments
keep
back from
Jody
the health
far away
department,
from
I'm
it.
sure that he will be
Just
more than
sabotage the
happy to
whole
help,
damn
as
thing.
well as Senator Laval.
Good to know,
Sorry.
good to know.
Did I say that?
And hopefully with the DEC on our water district, good to have friends.
Yes.
Good.
All right,
Not
very
wrong,
good.
yeah.
Thank you,
Thank you.
thank you all very, very much. Okay, Jeff, you're still here for the, next we have Eastern Wholesale Fence Site Plan Application. Thank you. You didn't know you were gonna have a full day here, did you?
Nice to meet you, Rob.
Hi.
Rob, Tim Hubbard.
Hi. Hi, how are you?
Well, good to see you.
Who's the, you're getting the microphone, is that me?
Come on, guns. Do we have enough chairs? Yeah, we have plenty of chairs.
Just because we are on TV, I'm gonna have you introduce yourself again, just for the camera, so we'll start with you, Rob.
Rob Dodaro, Chief Financial Officer of Eastern Fence. Paul Wisnowski, Director of Manufacturing, Eastern Fence.
Robert Stromsky, the architect for the project.
Tyler Danowski, work with Stromsky Architecture, and work on the project as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
Karen, lead off.
Okay, well, we had I thought, a very productive meeting yesterday with, Eastern Wholesale Fence and their architect. And, today, my understanding is we're pretty much just going over some of the items we needed town board input on.
Okay.
I had presented the project to the town board previously, and we had touched upon these items, but we hadn't made any formal determination, so. Just going to give out the summary that I had given out previously.
Thank you.
So one of the things was the outdoor storage of the fence products. And they're proposing 16-foot of fence products. They are wrapped in this white plastic, I guess you'd say. And if you want to take a look at the fence, those were just 3 pictures. One is showing which Jim has, which if you want to circulate that one around. No,
I think they wanna be.
All right,
Oh,
well,
okay.
you show me yours, I'll show you mine.
That's the view going south on Scott Avenue. The plan does show that they're going to put turf inserts along the northern boundary of the site and along the whole eastern
In-
boundary of
in
the
the
site.
Yeah,
In the
the-
fence.
Like those
Yeah, the
grass
hedge.
in the fence?
We call it hedge, we actually sell that, so,
So,
yeah, we'll put that
correct
in
me
there
if I'm
for us.
wrong, but along the whole east side and along the north side.
That's correct.
So that would provide 6 foot of screening, and then there would be 10 feet of the fence products that would not be screened by the fence. So, the town code says the town board has discretion on outdoor, screening of outdoor storage. So that's something we need input from the town board on.
There's not enough, why is it stacked so high? There's not enough space on the site?
No, we stack, we usually ship on our trucks 4 high. Each bundle is usually about 4 feet. And so we usually stack every bundle, usually each bundle we go up to about 8 feet, 8 bundles high. And it it helps us, maximize our yard space.
So, but if they're 4 and you're putting 8 on there, so then you're you're well above what we're showing here, correct?
No, that's it.
Okay.
That's as high as we go.
I
But
mean,
that's
when I-
it's lower than the building.
When
I'm
I
just
was
trying to
out
figure
there,
out
I,
visual.
I thought it was over 16 feet in height, but that's what they're saying they're going
Because
to
if you're,
restrict
because
it
that would be
to.
32 feet. Am I correct? If you're doing 8 high and 4 feet, that's 32 feet above a 6-foot fence.
When I was out there, I thought it was anywhere from 16 to 24 feet.
Yeah, it's
feet
less
high.
than, yeah.
But they're saying they're gonna restrict it to 16 feet.
Are you gonna, or do you want 24? Are you asking for 60? What is your,
16.
what's your practice?
16.
Okay.
Oh, another picture. Oh,
That just shows that
looks like an
there is,
industrial park to me.
there is no screening proposed to the
know.
south
Very good, Jim.
and the west, but it's primarily visible from the east and the north.
Karen, did you bring copies, additional copies?
Of what?
Your
Oh, no.
I'll make copies.
double-sided.
So I think, it's reasonable to screen from the north and the east. The only question is if the board wants more screening of what's visible or not.
Yeah, do we want 16-foot tall fences?
My question is,
Nope.
I'm just questioning what your true practice is, because you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, so you're already at 20 feet and you're asking for 16. Are you setting yourselves up here, not asking for what your practice is?
No, it's 16 feet.
Right? You got 5 here. They're 4 feet each? That's 20 feet. You're asking for 16.
No,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
No, so I'm mistaken. So what is I guess those are 5x5 posts. So I'm gonna say, they're probably, the
You wouldn't be able to do
the
this.
V300s, no. The V300, yeah, we are able to do that.
Well, if
We
you-
already determined that 16 feet is as high as we need to go.
So you would never do this again?
No, it's just the code.
No, and different bundles are different sizes, so we're not gonna go that high. We're talking about our T and G bundles, which are, and those are our mainstay, items. So we're asking for the 16 feet. That's as high as we need to go.
Did look at your picture. All of these bundles are higher than 16 feet.
How many
No,
times
they're
does
not
it
all,
need to
they're
say
not,
it?
They're not,
they're
you
not
see,
all
they're not,
4
they're not
feet.
4 feet.
They're not all 4 feet.
Just so that
bundles are
the
smaller,
board is
they
clear,
say.
it's, the outdoor storage that's right up the fence is what Eastern Ozone Fence is saying, they could regulate that to 16.
But then
But
within
in
the,
our discussions, you have inside the property where there's racks up against the building, that currently you can go up to 20 feet with storage, so.
So I think they should be asking for 20
I
feet
think you
then.
should be asking for 20 feet because it's not saying.
In my
where the-
presentation, I
just
was
on the-
going to ask
okay,
that, so I'm
okay,
letting
okay.
Karen deal with her
Okay,
memo, and
all right, it
I'll-
just keeps kind of
I'll
funny.
address
Okay,
those
all right,
concerns later.
Fine.
You're ahead.
Yeah, sorry.
So did we
Visual.
wanna make a determination on the height of the screening at this point?
Yes,
Well,
fine
did you
with me.
want to,
I mean, essentially,
Okay.
what I'm saying is, just like what I said, is right now on the perimeter of the property, 16 fence seems to be an average that's gonna work for them, but cause there was a discussion of, would you wanna put a covenant on it? Obviously, we would like to not have a covenant, but just to let you know that there's racks against the building that may allow 20 foot at any given point. So realistically, we see 20 feet as probably the maximum storage. That's not only for safety of their employees, but just the logistics of them moving the product.
The
So
fire marshal
20
also
feet.
said, not to interrupt, fire marshal also said 20 feet would be the max for the
So,
stacks.
you'd be fine with just
So
20-foot max around,
Right.
Clarity, we're in essence asking for 20 feet for the entire property. The 16 foot was kind of,
gonna get you a
In that
ticket,
area.
how's that?
Exactly.
Yeah, you were trying,
Yeah, we don't
So
have to.
20 feet is,
Yeah.
in actuality, what we're gonna be doing.
oh, I'm gonna go measure it every day.
Scott Avenue loops from Berman Boulevard and goes west and then goes south and then goes east. So it's like a loop off of Berman to the west.
It's not a main drag, it's
Right,
kind of off
it's in the
on
middle of
the,
the park.
west of the property.
It's
So,
to the west
unless you're
side of
going
the
to Metro or
park.
Eastern Wholesale Fence, primarily you're probably not
It's
going to see
gonna-
that yard.
It's not gonna affect my golf shot over at Swan Lake.
I don't
don't think so.
don't have a problem with the 20 feet, but I
Unless
just
you
want you to
hit
be
it on the
realistic
road.
about, if you're asking for 16, then you're at 16,
You're right, you're right.
so,
Okay, so everybody's okay with
you
the
guys all okay?
Yep.
Absolutely.
screening,
I
of the
don't have a
fence
problem
on the
because
east to the
it's
north
in
side,
an industrial area.
6 feet, and then the
What it's supposed to look like.
16, excuse me, the 14 feet would be visible.
Yeah, I mean, and then you'd have to take so much more land up to be able to store.
Yeah.
Did the town board wanna include a condition of the approval that a covenant be put in place limiting the height to 20 feet? Or we're just gonna put a notation on the
Well,
plan?
they already said that for safety
Notation
reasons, they
works
can't go
fine.
higher than
Yeah,
that
we
anyway.
can't go higher than that.
Just been doing it in the site
I
plan.
think it'll fall over on the forklift.
So if we just do it as a condition of the site plan, it's just, to me, it's just,
Okay, so we'll just include a note on the plan that it'll be 20-foot high storage maximum. Okay.
For the whole yard, correct?
Yep.
Correct.
How long have you been there now for?
Me?
Yeah.
Almost 15
Bless
years.
Good.
Then we had a question whether the use of portable storage containers instead of a permanent building is acceptable for storage. I think we had discussed this at the last meeting, but maybe Rob can refresh
What do
my
you got, the
memory
cell
of that.
trailers?
I think the fire marshal wanted to
Just roll-up
know
storage.
what was going to be stored in there, but they are going to reduce the amount of these. This is a picture if the board wants to take a look. This was the last time I was out there, quite some time
Do
ago.
you ship by the storage container?
No, so that's overstock, so sometimes we have, different, types of equipment, leftover tooling that we don't wanna throw out, those types of things. And that contracts and expands depending on seasonality. I love to get rid of those things, cause we have to pay a monthly fee for those things.
Turn them into housing now.
Yeah, so I'm constantly going out there looking to see what can we get rid of, can we get rid of one or two of those things all the time? Normally, we're keeping around 4 to 6 of them, but sometimes we balloon to 8. Right now, they're held, I don't know where that picture is right now. They're on the concrete apron of the building, they will stay there. We tried to put them on a kind of an RCA area, kind of messy going in and out with the forklifts. But they're on the concrete area, yeah, that's where they are right now.
So they're going to get, as per the plan, they're going to get rid of 5 and they're going to relocate 6 towards the,
So how many are there now?
11.
Okay.
But they're going to get rid of 5 and then relocate 6 more towards the western.
Yeah, we
portion.
just,
rear of the property.
we just leased another building down at 9 Commercial down in Medford. We transferred a lot of our tooling down there, so we're keeping that inside, so it's, it's better protected than being outside in the storage trailers. So
Couldn't find anything to lease here, huh?
We have to lease it, that's what so much of it.
So, if the fire marshal is okay with what's stored in the containers, does the board have any?
So my question is, does it, I mean, for site coverage, where these fall in as to temporary storage as an accessory to the like what do they fall under?
Well, they should be included in impervious surface.
Well, they're
They're
on top
on
of concrete
concrete.
anyway.
Oh, okay.
So that's one of mine, I know you want, to keep them on the concrete.
We were asked to revise our calculations to, as if they were a building. So everything that's in the site plan is looking at as if it was the
Part
footprint
of
of
the
the
footprint of the
building.
building, that's
But
what the-
obviously, it is a temporary structure, and right now, as Paul had stated, they may go up and down, but right now, what we're asking for is an average use of 6.
And to remain on a
And we put
concrete
him,
pad.
right, and we put him in an area next to the, existing, control building by the railroad tracks. So you really can't see these items from Scott Avenue.
Oh, not at all. This is where they're
Honestly,
proposed to be.
I don't
This
like
is-
the look of them, but, I mean, it is an industrial area, but.
And you're not gonna see them
They're
once
kinda
you get the
junky
green
looking.
slats
Yeah,
in the
that-
fence.
The
no retail there.
No.
And that,
Not in that area.
And they're
Nobody
within the
drives
industrial.
down
We're on the
there
west
anyway.
side by the railroad
Right.
tracks. This
Yeah,
is,
I
this is
understand that.
Scott
They
Avenue
don't have to
here,
be pretty.
so it turns here. These are behind the building.
They're $100 a month, I don't like them either.
and no
They're not
ability to
pretty to
double,
you
no
either.
ability to
That's
double
only $100 a
stack,
month?
correct?
No, well, you can't get
That
up
I'm
and-
not sure
you
of.
can't get in and out.
Cause they actually walk in and out of the container, so the
Okay,
double
but,
stack.
but I
is-
mean, just for storage, no ability, no double stacking, you're agreeing to no double stacking on
Yeah,
them?
no.
It's only $100 a month?
Well, you wanna move in?
You got a better
I'm
deal?
getting one at a store and go or whatever. Anyway,
They're a lot nicer to look at than some of the stuff that's around us on adjoining properties.
I'm sure.
I mean, we could just put a condition on the approval that we're limiting it to 6 storage containers if the board likes.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're gonna expand that, I think you would need to come back and address that.
Can we- can
I
we
mean, is
just keep
6
it-
what you want? I mean,
Can
put
we
the
just-
number in you want.
All right, let's keep it at 8. I can manage that, cause we balloon up to 8.
Okay, then just show the
Or
8.
revise it on the
Yeah, I
revised
mean,
plans.
let's be
Yeah,
realistic about what
Everything
you're
we're
doing
talking about, I
because,
need to
you
do
know, we
revised
don't.
plans anyway. So if the board's okay with 8, we'll change our calculations and so forth, so that it'll be on an average of 8, no more.
But it's going on impervious surface anyway,
Yes, the impervious surface would not
so
even,
it's not gonna affect the calculations.
but we just show it as part of lot coverage
got it.
and.
Right. The calculations have to change everything.
The plan shows, the 92 parking stalls that are required, to the east of the building and to the south of the building. I know, the applicant had requested, land banking parking, so they only had to have 50 stalls. I'm not sure it's really much of an issue. The parking to the south of the building would be on RCA. So if they don't need to use it, it's really not an issue unless the board, wants to put down, you know, parking,
And
wheel stops or
92 is
something.
required because of the square footage of the building?
But square foot.
Because it's not, it's a strictly a wholesale.
Staff requirements, basically, what we had asked Eastern Wholesale Fence to do is look at their staffing requirements, because they are a 24-hour operation. So, at a maximum point in the day, there would be a shift overlap, which would create 88 staff members on
Really?
site.
Well, good thing.
So, at that point, when you go by town code,
Right.
you're allowed 2 employees per car, or per space. So, by town code, 44 would be required, but the building square footage
Much stuff.
requires more, so 92 is what's required.
Okay.
So that's why we had come down with a number of 50. In conversations with Karen, it was stated that if you do land bank, 2/3 is really what the number should be. So in my presentation to the board, we were just gonna ask if we would just have to delineate 62 instead of 92, and a lot of that is, there was questions of how would we delineate it? The really only way to delineate it if it's an RCA is if we put a rubber curb stop.
Right.
And obviously with the process of the, site, forklifts and moving equipment, the more bumps you have,
Right.
something's not right. So we would like to limit the number of delineated spaces we need, but also we went through the exercise to show you that if we do in fact have an issue where we need to park cars, we can park them. We just don't wanna be forced to delineate 92 spaces. We would like to just limit that to 62, so.
Let me
yeah.
just
Makes sense.
clarify from my own head. This is already RCA here, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so it's already improved. Usually when we say land banking, that's to keep landscaped or natural area. So I think the reason you don't wanna delineate stalls is so you have more maneuvering room or
Right,
what
because
have you.
obviously it's difficult to stripe RCA, so it's not like I could sit here and just stripe. Stripes, we would care less, you just drive over the stripes if no one's parked there. But your memo had stated that, how are you gonna delineate spaces? The only way
Right.
to do so in RCA is with a curb stop.
So
we would like to avoid
I think if
that.
the board is okay, they're demonstrating they can get the 92 stalls. If the board doesn't feel it's needed, they don't
Well, if
have
it's
to
freelance
put.
parking, you're gonna have to have a hell more cars than if you marked it, that's for sure.
I like the idea
Right.
that they're land
If we
banking,
what?
so that if they need the
Don't
extra
mark it, you probably
space.
fit a lot more cars in.
Well,
If it's delineated, you get less cars.
Right,
If
right.
you park
It's true.
where they
if the
need to,
board doesn't
freelance parking,
feel that wheel stops are needed, I don't think the land banking even has to come into play. They're showing 92
Yeah.
stalls.
We
Good.
could, well, we talked
Okay.
about the 62 stalls, we already had a contractor, and 62 stalls is plenty for us. And we've already had a contractor in to plan it out for us, and we have the space for that. We're ready to go to do that.
So what, if you were gonna show land banking, which stalls would be land
Probably
banked?
be the interior here, just because that allows more maneuverability, so we would just like to do it on the outside, and this way they can move around whatever they need to. So obviously, parking for us towards the edges would be correct. We would show, obviously, I'm just making that determination now, we have to do revised plans, I would converse with my client. If you're okay with 62, we'll lay out 62 that best serve
Right.
their,
Yeah.
traffic
You could
patterns.
You could use curb stops on the perimeters, just to show some sort of way that you want people to.
Right, I mean, on the concrete that's there, we can stripe it on the concrete, you know, whatever there's RCA, if it's on the perimeter, we can mark it if needed be, so.
I mean, the code for land banking, it says 2/3 of the required parking has to be provided. So that would be, per my calculations, it would be 62 parking stalls. So if the town board is okay with 62 and they show the rest as land banking and used as whatever in the meantime until, maybe the town board in the future, they get more employees and they have to use it, and the town board will say, you have to use these stalls, I'm fine with that.
Great.
Good,
Okay,
works for me.
Okay, so 62
and not having to put any of the rubbers.
stalls, right. So it would be 30 land banked.
Wow, I'm just impressed with the number of employees
Yeah.
impressive.
No wheel stops.
Could we put a sign?
We've been
Additional
growing up
parking?
since, the last 5 years, we've almost doubled. And,
Excellent.
yeah.
You have a lot of employees that live in Riverhead or Calvert?
Riverhead, yeah.
Riverhead and Patchogue.
Growing, Riverhead and Patchogue, but growing in Riverhead, a lot more from the Riverhead area.
Good, I'd like to hear that.
There's a job fair coming up too, if you're looking for anybody.
Yeah, we're represented there.
Yeah, good.
Okay, and then the next item was, there are very tall light poles on the site, which are going to get a variance, well, they're applying for a variance for, but there are also, overhead wires between the light poles. So typically, we don't have electrical, wires, overhead. So I just wanted to check with the board if they are okay. These are various different pictures, of the site.
You guys are showing that 20 feet. This is looking a lot different.
Like I said, those pictures were taken a while ago where the site,
Okay.
situations were different, so.
Okay.
We
Now,
feel 20 feet is, like I said,
now what are these wires for?
they're just to provide power for the exterior lighting poles that are on the north portion of the property. That is not connected to any of the power grid distribution for the rest of the complex. It's all internal wires, so if somebody hits a wire, it's only gonna affect them, nobody else. The wires are on the perimeter of the property, really doesn't affect their movement of product. So, as far as for them, it's not an issue for them to have it. Obviously, it was, easier back in the day whenever it was done, instead of buried, to leave it up there, and
Sure.
they don't really wanna, move all of their product and disrupt their shipping and everything else on the property, cause they're 24/7 around the clock to dig trenches to bury wires, so.
It's
if,
been working for as long as it has been, so.
We look
why
at it as
fix if
it's,
not broken?
where we are, we're
What I-
kind of off the beaten path, we're really not,
Mhm.
I don't feel it's that much of an eyesore for the type of use and property it is, but we're here to ask, that we'd be okay with that, so we can just leave it on the site plan and move forward.
Karen, what is,
Oh, I just, I thought it was kind of unusual, so I just wanted to check with the board whether you were okay with the.
no thoughts of
wires.
going solar on those, huh? Get rid of the wires, save us some money?
We're going.
Well,
pro-gen.
we're gonna
talk
do a
about
different
that.
system, we'll be able to express our deals with power usage later, so.
Okay.
Okay, so everyone's okay with
Yep.
that? Okay. And then I just wanted to make sure the board was okay with, not having any sort of protection between, parking areas and outdoor storage areas. Right now, you have, let's say, a parking stall right next to product storage.
That product has since moved,
Oh, okay, so you're not gonna have any product storage right next to?
not towards the end, no.
Okay, so then maybe just revise the plan. I thought that was maybe a bit of a safety issue
I was
with
gonna
that
say,
particular area.
it's a safety issue because you'd have things being moved around.
Yeah, I get it.
One of the issues with the parking is, the reason why we really don't want any physical barriers, curbs, so forth, is we've already exhausted that with the whole parking. Anytime you have curbs, curb stops, bollards, something in the way, a forklift or something's gonna hit it. The public doesn't come here to shop. This is basically a wholesale distribution. May have outside meetings coming in here and there, but it's very rarely that you have a lot of public traffic. So, in general, their employees know their safety patterns, know their traffic patterns. So we don't think there's really an issue, the fact that you're gonna have parking next to storage.
Yeah, man.
Product is moving around the entire property. So it's inevitable to say, this is a parking stall, nothing's gonna be around it. So we just would like the fact to allow Eastern Wholesale Fence to police their traffic as they do with their own safety protocols, not asking us to do physical barriers or curbs. One of the also issues is the fact that the property is all concrete. That was basically from the days of Grumman. If I start putting curbs all over the property, I could start collecting water in areas that now I gotta try and put a storm drain in 8 inches thick of concrete connected to a pipe, which, as you can imagine,
You gotta find.
trying to dig through
Well, sounds like something.
federal grade concrete
Sounds like
probably
something
wouldn't be
federal-
the easiest thing to do, so
Sounds like
we would
something
really
federal
like to
to do.
just,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
ask
we
because,
understand what the safety concerns are, but know that Eastern Wholesale Fence is a company that has safety protocols that they abide by with their employees.
Like that,
Pretty much
the
most of the only
regulations.
employees there, they know what the traffic patterns are, so there really shouldn't be any issue that, you know, if product
Well,
storage is next to a parking space.
I'm glad to hear about the safety precautions. I mean, I bring it up because we had a very unfortunate accident in our town at the propane
Yeah, I know.
place.
Yeah, we actually invited New York State, every year, twice a year, to each one of our plants to do
You
it.
have to be louder, they're
Or you gotta
telling
speak
me.
a little louder.
We invited New York State to do an OSHA walkthrough in all of our plants every year, voluntarily,
Okay,
so we have a complete safety program in all of our plants.
Okay, so I think we're good with that.
Okay, and then so there was no structures, okay.
And just with your protocols, you have a safety protocol for parking close to, I mean, is that in your safety protocol for the parking next to these other, if something's stacked near it or?
Well, we don't have any stacked product right near the park.
So that's, okay, so
Yeah.
that's,
Okay.
okay.
Then just,
Well,
revise the
again.
plan.
Yeah.
Okay, and then, just regarding the ARB and elevations, the ARB had looked at the metal control building and they didn't feel it was an issue because it was not visible. They didn't look at this, addition to the main building, but again, it's right behind the building.
Louder.
It's right behind the building.
Yeah, right here.
So this was a question to the board. Did they want any further ARB review? I mean, the ARB didn't look at the gatehouse booth, you know. So it was just to make sure the board has no issue. This is just a picture of the
Oh, it's so
gatehouse
ugly, I think it
booth.
should be cedar sided and painted blue.
And this is the addition they didn't look at. I don't, that's up to the board.
Looks like an
We
industrial.
actually
looks like an industrial
prepared
park.
building elevations with the addition.
Yes.
The item that was not is the wood little
Yeah, there's a
roof
little roofed
overhang.
over area and
That's
very
what-
inconsequential.
That's what wasn't seen by the ARB. The addition of the building, the metal building addition, was on the supplied elevations, as was the detached control building. So the only thing we didn't do is we didn't do the gatehouse. We felt like if you
It's a
saw a
historic structure.
photograph of it, I don't wanna waste time and charge my client to George
Don't wanna
Lawrence of a
change it.
gatehouse, so
They didn't care about that, I don't think they really care about that.
I don't think
Okay.
it's an issue, but,
did you
bring Good.
building samples with you?
no.
I don't think,
I'm okay with what we have.
looks like a commercial.
Okay?
Absolutely.
Industrial park to me.
Jim,
Rob,
you're
do you wanna
okay,
talk
right?
about the cogen?
Catherine?
I'm okay
Yeah.
with it.
Jim, you're okay?
Oh, absolutely. About that, oh, that's a different company, sorry.
Next, actually, we have is, it was mentioned about, power consumption and so forth. Right now, what Eastern Household Fence is doing is they're working with a third-party company to, allow the use of a cogeneration plant. What that does is it allows them with a prepackaged, for lack of a better term, a shipping container, that basically would run off natural gas and provides them the ability of 550 kilowatts of power that no longer has to be pulled off the public grid system. So they've worked with National Grid, PSE&G, everybody on the utility side of it is for the project. Essentially what happens is the third party does whatever they do with the utility companies, provides the cogen system for Eastern Wholesale Fence, and then sells them electric power that they then generate out of their own system.
At a
Those
reduced rate,
numbers,
at a
right,
reduced rate.
those numbers work for Eastern Wholesale Fence to be cheaper than whatever it works for PSE&G.
Who pays for the gas?
PSE&G, that's all the third-party system, so their costs are covered, and then they charge Eastern
So
Wholesale
give you
Fence.
less kilowatt per hour.
To the public utility, PSE&G likes it because now, when they're looking at their distribution system for the town of Riverhead, they now have 550 kilowatts of power that they can allow back to the
They don't-
commercial grid
yeah.
and give back to, so it's not like they
Unfortunately,
have
we
to
can't plan-
increase
bank
their,
that here.
their, transmission space for the town as it's growing. So, we
Well,
look at that.
they don't identify it for Riverhead, just,
Yeah.
Right.
just so you know, even if you're not drawing it, and you had previously been drawing it, it doesn't get dedicated here.
But you're gonna be using all the power from the cogen, correct?
Yeah, we're gonna be using all the power from the cogen, plus the cogen has thermal energy coming off of it, that's gonna run one of our chillers, that also, requires 300 kW to run a chiller like that all year long. So the thermal energy, so that's gonna
They're
run
putting
for
something
free.
very similar to the aquarium.
So you're gonna be
actually.
self-sustainable.
Exactly, they have one over by the
Essentially, they're
aquarium.
creating a power system that's going to provide them with power, not from the public grid, but that also provide them environmentally recyclable energy for a chiller that's then used to cool the product that runs through their extrusions. So
Excellent.
all the plastic extrusions.
Good
So
for you.
we look at it as an environmental benefit to the community. One of the things that we would like to do with that is, because of the programs and so forth that are in place with the utility companies, what we are asking is, once the SECR process is concluded, because we know that we can't segment anything until SECR is done, and we've been working with Jeff, Karen, and also Town Attorney Dawn Thomas. Basically, the SECR and Jody, I'm sorry, has
you
been
mean the-
instrumental.
The zoning board, it's Dawn with the zoning board, cause she's no longer the town attorney.
Okay.
And the other
So
community development.
essentially what we're looking to do is, once SECR is closed, based on the letter that was run out, that process would be done on March 31st. What we're then asking is if the board, on their meeting on April 2nd, could, we feel from the discussions you've had that the town will be able to act as lead agency under SECR, and make your determinations as seen. And that, what we're asking is if we can just pull the cogen unit out from the site plan review and just allow that to move forward with a separate building permit.
then
Like I
permits-
explained, it's a pre-packaged unit. It doesn't require any excavation or footings or so forth.
You
It's
have the
being
gas,
placed.
you have to pipe the gas in, right? Or
The pipe, the gas, and that was done by, I believe, either your contractor or National
That's already
Grid,
been done.
correct?
National Grid already did it, cause we put in a brand new heating system too.
Oh, cool.
In the building, so gas is run to the property,
then.
so they would just tap off the main that was brought into the property. So essentially, it's dropping a
Just drop in.
prepackaged unit on the existing concrete
Mhm.
and connecting utilities. So because of the necessity, they'd like to get this thing up and running, so we're just asking the board if you could just allow, with a separate resolution, when SECR is done, to allow the cogen to move forward as we continue to deal with these comments and ultimately getting at the approval for that. they would obviously like to have that up and running as fast as possible, as you can imagine.
Yeah, sure.
So that's why we're asking for this.
So Jeff, under secret, if to pull that out after the secret determination is made, does that eliminates the segmentation?
Yeah, and that's why you would have two resolutions on for the April 2nd. One would be the secret determination, recommending a negative declaration, and the resolution after that would be the resolution to split out this portion of the cogen out from the rest of the site plan. They already have the building permit submitted, Brad has reviewed it, he just can't issue it until he gets a resolution from the board.
We just have to make sure we don't get anything from any of the other
Involved agencies.
And we had spoke about it, this course, most of the site is in the
Because
WSR area.
but this is a type 1 just due to the size of the property, or?
No.
It's
It's unlisted.
It's unlisted, okay.
We had talked yesterday that most of the property is in the WSR, and so we wanted to, the lawyer for the applicant was gonna look into whether that's something they're,
He was gonna contact the EC.
right,
Okay.
if they have any permit over that or not.
Okay.
But since it's within the building, footprint,
Just make sure that they're not going to weigh in on it.
Right.
I would give them a call.
Right,
Well, we had-
they've been notified
You've been
under the
notified,
secret
okay.
process, so.
Okay.
The hope is that if they pretty much have no issue with the project, and the site plan is shown with the cogen where it is, that
You're comfortable with?
they would be
okay
okay
with it?
allowing you being lead agency, knowing what's going on. So we are dealing with them as far as the site plan as
Very
well.
expensive. It's an expensive machine.
Yeah, so we are dealing with the DEC, you know, as we continue with the site
Okay.
plan, because there's some new silos that we're looking to put up, which also is a time constraint, which we're working diligently with Jeff and Karen to address these comments, with the fire marshal, with Vinnie, so we're trying to move as fast as we can. But we just feel if we can get the cogen done first, that kind
Then
of
move on to the other
is a
stuff.
big thing on
Right.
there to get that running, and then allow us to quickly move forward, get this done, and deal with the DEC, with the nitty-gritty of the new silos and so forth.
Okay, is everybody okay with
Fine with
proceeding
me.
that way?
Yeah, I just,
I can't wait to see this
I'm-
machine.
Yeah.
I know that there's a public hearing, Laura, for September 20th with the Pine Barrens Commission at 2:00 in Southampton, that they will need your help on during that hearing as well, to make sure that the,
What are you in a,
March,
March 20th, I mean.
what are you
This
in a,
Wednesday.
what are you in a
March 20th.
compatible growth area?
Next Wednesday,
Yeah.
yes.
right. I believe that Jeff had forwarded me an email, I'll let Jeff explain that.
Yeah, I forwarded, I spoke with Joey Hargrave from the Pine Barrens Commission, because I saw it on the agenda for next week. And, they're not gonna have a problem with the town assuming the agency, and they really don't have any objections to the application, and she's gonna send out a report today or tomorrow, and as soon as I get that, I'll forward it to
I
everybody.
mean, cause it's cleared, you're not clearing anything, it's already cleared, it's been there since before the act came in.
And as one of the requirements, we are maintaining the required area to be left natural and undisturbed.
Okay.
So that is one of the requirements under the subdivision that was mapped.
To leave what?
Um,
Do you have to get a hardship, or?
There's area to
No.
remain
No, there's an area to
natural on
remain left
each
natural that we have
parcel of
to
the
abide by, and I
subdivision.
believe that
So
came out of the
that's
Pine
to the
Barrens
south
review
here.
of the subdivision. So, the fact that we're able to
Comply with it.
keep that requirement, I can't imagine that they would have an issue with it. And most of the property's been developed, so everything has happened on developed sites.
Sites.
And Karen Meek Gallagher, who's the chair of the commission, who's also chair or the commissioner for DEC one, you know, she'll have seen it, so.
And she's very familiar with this site, this area.
I do not know.
Yeah. All right, very good, so I think that we seem to be on target for the dates that
Yeah,
you
these
were-
are the issues that we just needed clarification on, so that as we do the revised plans,
Right.
I can get rid of the bullet points from the memo that we've addressed it with the board, so now we can just move forward with the other items.
Very good.
I'll give you the bullet points.
Thank you for your time.
Peter Williams couldn't be here, he's at our big trade show of the year in Indianapolis. He wanted to make
Great.
sure we convey thank you to everybody for working with us. The team has been
Very good, they're a good team, right?
Good.
Thank you very much.
Good.
And thank you continuing
Thank
to
you
have
very
your
much.
business here.
Appreciate that.
Up
there.
Extra large.
Thank you.
Shirt.
Yep.
I make
Thank
them
you
up
very
in
much.
Ralph's
Thanks.
Associates.
Thank you.
We're close to 200 people.
Well,
Thank you very
that's
much.
awesome.
Nice
I love
meeting you.
that.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Oh, good seeing you again.
Thank you.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome. Have a good day. Excuse me. Good job.
Okay.
Good seeing you again.
Always.
Always a good job.
Next, we will move on to the audited financial statement presentation.
Did they bring lunch with them? That's right.
I can't eat today.
You guys are killing me.
good.
I'll be dead for the end of the year. Got diabetes, they work right through lunch.
Come on, Jeb, stop your whining about
I got
this.
a turkey sandwich.
Hi, how are you?
I start flipping out just to be.
We're hot off the presses.
This is really like,
Yeah.
this should be for one work
Yeah.
session, not for combined work session.
All right, thank you. Oh, my goodness, what a great presentation.
It's cold. Get in your car.
Sitting in the car. Good. Executive summary?
Thank you. Bill, are you gonna come up for this?
So those are the three reports that we issued.
Mhm.
And, this is like the presentation.
Okay,
So,
I'm just gonna have you guys, do you wanna sit for the presentation
Yeah,
or wanna stand? So I'm just gonna have you guys introduce yourselves because we do film.
so I'm Chris Rito, one of the 6 partners of Cullen and Danowski.
And I'm Bill Otison, I'm one of the audit managers.
Okay.
Right. Anyway, so I handed out the 3 reports.
Okay.
Basically,
Which
there's
one
our,
would you like to start with, yeah?
well,
Yeah, go
we're
ahead.
gonna go through the presentation. Just, we have our audit report, which accompanies your financial statements. There's also a management letter that was issued, and the one with the bold print is a communication to the board. If we ran into any difficulties, or proposed journal entries, we had no difficulties, nice smooth audit. So the presentation that I handed out, so we go right to page 3. And this is basically the audit team. So it was myself, Michael Leone, principal, and Bill Otison, manager, and then a number of staff to assist with the audit. And we go to the next page, it's the auditor's responsibilities. So it's just kind of like taking you through the whole audit process, this handout, so get understanding. So, so we conduct our audit, with, generally accepted auditing standards. That's the audit opinion that accompanies the financial statement. And then there's some required communications that are potential. The 260 is the letter that I handed out with the bold print. And then there's another report that we could be issuing called the 265 letter, and that's if we found significant deficiencies or material weaknesses. In our opinion, you don't have any, so there was no report issued for that, so.
You have to talk a little
Oh,
louder.
sorry.
Yeah, the microphone is
The
here.
theme today.
Oh, okay, sorry about that. I was wondering when the microphones were. So, anyway, so the 265 letter would have been issued if there were material weaknesses, significant deficiencies, and there are none, so we did not issue that letter. And then the
I think
manager.
this has to be the first year since I've been here that we didn't have a letter.
Yeah, so.
Good job,
Yeah.
accounting, Bill.
Yeah, Caitlin and Bill are great. So then we issue a management letter, which is not significant deficiencies or material weaknesses, but we look at the comptroller's reports, and if we see anything that, we should communicate to you, just to keep you ahead of the curve with that. And then we also look at the prior year management letter, and then we just update you on what the comments were, which we'll summarize at the end of this presentation. And then other information is that, it's reasonable assurance that it's fairly stated. You have the unmodified opinion, which is the best opinion you can have for the financials. It's not to give absolute assurance, not to detect fraud, or if there's like small immaterial errors, because we work on materiality levels as far as when we do our audit. So it's not a full detailed examination, like when a comptroller does their audit, they come in and they camp out for months and they look at everything. So we do it on a test basis, you know. Being this is year one, we do look at every department and interview everybody to see how all the procedures work as far as those. So it was very in-depth this time around. And the town responsibilities is that they're your financial statements, to be responsible for them. You know, we can assist in preparing, which we did, you know, it was like a group effort between us to put the financial statements together. So this is just a list of, you know, having everything available for us, and everything's fine. Next page is a fraud consideration, so we do take that into consideration, even though it's not a fraud type audit. So, you know, if anything does come to our attention, we communicate it to you, because we're hired by the board to do the audit. Did not find anything in our audit test work, so this is just a list of what we consider for the fraud risks. And then when you go to the next page, this is just a breakdown of your financial statements, which I'm gonna let Bill take the floor and talk about.
Absolutely. The first 29 pages of this large, we'll say the bound copy, is the financial section of your financial statements.
Can it be louder?
Absolutely. Our audit opinion, or our auditor's report is on pages 2 through 4. It does, like as Chris said, include an unmodified opinion, which is a clean opinion on the financial statements. The next section of the financial statements, which is pages 5 through 19, that's management's discussion and analysis section. It's not part of the basic financial statements, however, it is required by the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, so it does appear in this report. We don't give an opinion on the management's discussion and analysis, however, we do perform limited procedures to get a comfort that the information in there is accurate and presents in conjunction with what the audited numbers present as well. Then when you get into the actual statements, pages 20 and 21 are your government-wide financial statements. And on those statements, it'll show that the assets and deferred outflows of the primary government exceeded its liabilities and deferred inflows of resources at the close of 2017 by $142,708,578.
That's all?
Absolutely. The net position of your governmental activities was $81,118,778, and the net position of your business type activities were $61,589,800. The primary government's net position increased in 2017 by $1,001,232 from the previous year. The governmental net position decreased by $1,291,043. However, the business type net position increased by $2,292,275. The next set of statements are your governmental funds financial statements, and that's on pages 22 and 24. And that'll show that your total combined fund balance at the end of December 31st, 2017 was $16,376,614. And that was a decrease of $2,011,963 from the previous year. The next group of financial statements are your proprietary fund financial statements. Now that's your water fund and your sewer fund. And the total combined net position for those two funds was $61,589,800, and that was an increase over the previous year by $2,292,275,000. Now those are your basic financial statements. The next section are the notes and disclosures in relation to those financial statements. And then that'll be your next 39 pages. And after that comes the required supplementary information other than management's discussion and analysis. And that section is comprised of your budget to actual schedules on your four major funds with legally adopted budgets, the schedule of funding progress for the town's net OPEB obligation, and the town's proportionate share of their net pension liability. Also, there'll be a schedule of the town's pension contributions. And then there's other supplementary information on pages 77 and 78. And that schedule is the combining schedule of the non-major governmental funds.
So that consists of the whole 78-page financial statement.
In one page.
Yeah, in one page.
Absolutely.
So you can use,
Summed it
so
all
you
up.
can use that as a reference to.
Very riveting.
So we had a good year in 2017, so our plan that we started out with in 2010 came to fruition where we were in pretty sore shape when I first took office. So I'm happy to say that by the close of 2017, we underspent the budget and actually increased the fund balance.
That's correct, yes. You know, it was a great job, like I said.
Yeah, we all worked very hard on that.
And
Yes, we
that-
did.
And then on the last page is just, what I did was I just summarized basically what's in the management letter. So we have
Okay.
3 new comments, which is reflected on the last page. And then I just did a status of the prior comments. And, you know, a lot of the things were addressed, some are in process. So we're moving forward in a good direction, you know, so.
Yes.
So the, you know, so your management letter's getting thinner and thinner, which is a good thing.
Wait till next year.
I think the admin, having the admin system in place, which has been in place for a full year now, is a big, has resolved a lot of the problems.
Right.
I think the upgrading of the computer system, which we're in the process of doing, I think also, you know, some of the major deficiencies that had been previously noted
Yeah.
are getting resolved.
Yeah.
So I
Yes.
think,
Been
I
working
think
on
that's very good.
Right.
Since 2010, we've been working on those upgrades, slowly doing them year after year after year. So I'm glad that it finally came to fruition. It's been a lot of hard work from the IT department and the accounting department. I'm glad that we are just about ready to get off the mainframe and the town board for 2017, because this is the year ending 2017.
Correct.
Thank
And also, as far as Edmond goes, a lot of the larger villages and towns are moving forward to that program. That's like the main program everybody's using
Yeah.
these days. You know,
We shopped out a lot of them,
So-
and Bill said that that was the one he wanted to go with, so.
Yeah, that was a good recommendation by Bill.
Yes.
You know, so, because we're seeing a lot of everybody moving forward to that system, so.
Great.
So that's good, so, yeah, so, anyway, so, yeah, 2017 was a good year, you know, very positive, you know, as far as our audit goes. This is our report, and, you know, we have all our contact information, so, you know, we're here all year round, we're not just like, you know, all right,
Okay.
see you next year. And so you can call us anytime, you know,
Great.
they call questions, you know, just try to keep constant communication, so.
Read through it,
Yeah,
ask
so-
the questions.
And it's the first time you've worked with Riverhead Town.
I actually worked back in 2010 of all times with the Community Development Agency. I did some special projects back then.
Right, okay.
And then, you know, and I see Bill at the conferences.
And you still wanted to
meetings.
come back, knowing Bill, you still wanted to come back?
Yeah, I live in Sound Beach, so this is a nice,
Oh, okay.
nice ride.
Okay.
Except for the hour a week.
You know, you know,
Right down the street.
you know,
All right, good. Does anybody else have any questions about their report?
I can't wait to read it.
Read it, but,
Okay.
At any time, you just feel free to call us.
thank you.
We're here for
I
you.
didn't see too many parentheses there, that's a good thing. Okay.
Okay, so good.
All right, thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your,
You wanna add anything?
Thank you, no problem.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
thank you, sir. Great job.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you.
Thank
I don't know how you
very
do
much.
it, man, I don't know you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
He's thinking every day about it.
Thank you, guys.
Good job,
Lot of good work.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so now we will move on to the Coastal Barrier Resource Systems update.
Oh, another riveting discussion.
I know, today's
I saw her in Greenport at a funeral. It's working.
Good afternoon. Did you get a little nap in, Bob?
No.
You get a little rest?
No.
Am I gonna help you?
This one's, I think, not a big lift.
You think?
When we last spoke, we went through the various systems that are in the town of Riverhead. And I think the focus really narrowed down to East Creek Marina and Unit NY 34. As we discussed in 1993, there was a request made by the town to change the designation, alter the boundaries in part. And I was asked to kind of follow up and see if I could find anything with respect to the historical process there. Couldn't find anything locally. I'm told, and this is anecdotal, that there was a no-name storm in '93. It did a lot of devastation around the town, and there was some desire to protect the areas that got impacted by that storm. I then contacted the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Very nice person, Dana Wright, got back in touch with me. They searched their records at their end and couldn't find anything to assess. So we had a little bit of a discussion as to why the town would have gone from the OPA to the non-OPA. And she said there was probably some thought at that time, although this is really a little bit of a guess, that because of the storm or because of other events, there was a real desire to prevent further development. And by going further from an OPA to the system unit, it was designed to stop anybody from trying to rebuilding who may have been impacted.
In that where the private homes were?
Correct. So, that being said, she did say that as far as going forward, because of the boundaries being revised, and for the most part, that the new unit designation being principally town recreation property and lands that are being conserved by the town of Riverhead, she did not think it was inappropriate or a bad idea for the town, as some of the other governmental agencies have done, to suggest that it be reclassified from the system unit to an OPA. So that it would go from a unit NY 34 to a unit NY 34P. And what I would propose is that we put a letter in. We have until, I think, the 17th of April to get that submitted. If the board would like to have that official through a resolution, I could get a resolution put forward and have a letter issue from the town suggesting that it be reclassified to an OPA. She said she would take that in. In her mind, she thought she could support that application, but of course she wanted to remind me what we already told you, that whatever happens here is gonna have to be done by a congressional act. So there will be a further congressional act.
What are the advantages and disadvantages?
The advantage of the OPA is that it reduces the federal constraints.
Okay.
So that.
For granting,
Correct.
possibly.
So the only thing it really narrows down to is the question of insurance. So by doing it to the OPA, you're prohibited from getting insurance through federal funds, and that's it. As far as the possibility of grants, as far as the possibility of other funding, you alleviate those restrictions by going with the OPA.
Okay.
So, that's you know, what Jeff and I.
So if it was a system unit, we couldn't apply for grants, or we?
If we have it as a system unit, all federal involvement is barred across the board. But again, the reason she thinks that may have happened in '93 is there might have been desire, because there was some individual houses and other properties that the board may have said, listen, we really don't want to see somebody put something back up to just see it get knocked
Well, I
back
think
down.
the storm was before '93, I think the storm was earlier than that.
I don't know when it was.
92, 91.
I remember as a cop walking to every house along.
Okay,
and
yeah, I
taking-
mean, I don't know when it was, you know, I tried to do a little bit of like, just to see if anybody was around at that
How much
time, and
damage
they had
done,
some
no
kind of
assessment of the
recollection of a
houses.
no-name
Like Irma.
storm. Well, they called it a no-name storm, I don't, you know, but again, I
It
don't,
was all
you know,
on the bay.
I didn't
No
actually even
restrictions.
look into, you know, going through and just putting in 93 storms in Riverhead. I should have done that, but I didn't. I figured I'd try to just go.
I think it was a nor'easter or something.
So I figured I'd
I
try to
support
find
the
it
letter.
locally. Okay.
So
Okay.
I'd like to do it though, if we can, have a resolution, just about the change, just so we have some records, so if somebody comes back in 25 years from now.
We have something.
We have something that they
Okay.
could, you know,
Okay.
just for
To
record keeping.
reference.
For
Okay.
reference, yeah.
Would you want to try to get it on for next Tuesday?
I'm okay with that if everybody else is
I
okay.
mean, it would be a very short, generic
Yeah, you got
resolution.
nothing else to do for next week?
I'm good with it.
Yeah, thank you,
Thank
Bob,
you.
very much.
Thanks,
Thank
Bob.
you.
Thanks, Bob.
All right, now we'll move on to subdivision special permit, ZBA fee changes.
That was very nice that you made those two last ones pretty quick.
Waiting for Greg Berman to bring out copies.
He was just here.
Okay.
I know, he just went to go make copies. We're a little short on copies. We have copies for you, but not for the press.
Oh, really?
Sure, the press has had.
They report it wrong anyway, so it doesn't matter. Oh, me too.
And here he is.
Jim.
Me too. Especially Denise, she creates it and then she spends the whole next week reclassifying. Hearing proposed local law to amend chapter 10 of the zoning transfer of what? Here we go.
You're purple, no green, we're coming up on St.
No,
Patrick's Day.
purple. Not till Sunday.
I like the gray tie with it.
Thank you.
Jeff, you got some styling competition here now.
Hey.
I like Jeff's tie too.
I got it going. Come on.
What happened to your sweater?
The old man front sweater is retired for this season.
Mr. Rogers got it back.
Yeah, I got so much grief for that sweater, I don't.
It's in the closet, it's not coming back out.
Come on. I'm gonna read all this. Which preservation shall not be required to oh, good.
So we've been updating and reviewing our fees across the board. We did an analysis of what our fees are, we did a comparison, and I did the spreadsheet that you see in front of you. We took a look at what Southold charges and also what Brookhaven, Southold, and Southampton are charging. And we have put forth a resolution for you for your consideration to update our fees so that they're more in proportion to the amount of work that's being done. As you can see on the charts, the spreadsheet, we're not charging, and Greg's gonna go through some examples, we're not charging not even half of what it's costing us to process the applications. So I'm gonna turn it over to Greg and go through them fee by fee. We did not address site plans because those are pretty reasonable to the workload.
All right, so as Mr. Murphy said, we've got a spreadsheet here which just demonstrates the 5 East End towns. You know, and upon a quick review, you can see that our fees are nowhere near the other East End towns are. I've prepared some examples which will demonstrate, you know, why our fees need to be brought up and commensurate with the amount of review. So let's start with subdivision applications.
I'm gonna give you this one too.
All right. Right now, our application fees for a minor subdivision are $50 per lot. So I took the Calverton Manor minor subdivision example, which was a recent application, was reviewed. If you're not familiar with it, it's on the northwest corner of Middle Country Road and Manor Road. That application was charged a fee of $150 in accordance with the town code. Now, for that $150 fee, that initiated staff review of the subdivision plan, conducting a site visit, preparation and review of staff report, correspondence with applicant and involved agencies, research into the historical sale of development rights on the property, going through old files, planning board reports, planning resolutions, etc. The town attorney's office reviewed a lengthy title report submitted in conjunction with the application. There was consultation with the planning board's counsel, a work session at which the application was presented to the planning board. There was a recording of the planning board meetings, which takes place and posted on the town website. There was a public hearing, which was a nighttime meeting, preparation and review of a planning board approval resolution, transcription of the minutes from the meeting and the public hearing, review of the final maps, reviewing for compliance with the approval resolution. The maps got to be filed with the town clerk's office, and there was some engineering review associated with that project. So for that $150, clearly did not cover all of those services that were rendered.
Is
Under
this
the
typical?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, even on a very basic application, they're still submitting a title report. You know, we still review it, we still do a site inspection, we still refer it to town agencies. Even for a simple 2-lot minor subdivision, it still requires a presentation to the planning board, still requires a public hearing and possible additional hearings or work sessions if required.
And it's not just staff's time, it's everybody else involved, it's Chris's time, it's all the planning board members' time, it's every step along the way.
Right now it's our time. Right now it's your time. I get it.
So with the proposed, with the proposed code amendments, we basically established a $500 base fee, which is sort of commensurate with our site plan application review process, and $200 per lot. So just using Calverton Manor minor subdivision Instead of the $150 fee, that fee would have ended up being about $1,100, which really would cover, I mean, but that was a 37-acre piece of property, so it was a significant review. But we're also dealing with some issues where we have the problem is that the threshold for making an application is so low that people don't really think twice about making applications to subdivide substandard lots. You know, that then kicks us into a zoning board of appeals application, which we have ZBA fees are being updated in here. So, I mean, if the threshold is so low, where I don't wanna call them frivolous applications, but we've had some of them. We've also had some that are actually quite problematic. I am reviewing an application right now for a minor subdivision off of Roanoke Avenue involving I believe it's the Lakeside Mobile Home Park and a private homeowner. It's involved town attorney review. There's significant issues with a existing right-of-way that may need to be extinguished, so we're talking additional legal fees, review of additional title reports, so I mean.
Fire marshal review fee. The common joke in the department is for a two-lot minor, which you would think is the simplest application review, every single one of them have title issues, they have zoning issues, they have structural issues, setbacks issues, structural issues, they have houses that are built on property lines, across property lines. One case, the one house was connected to sewer and the other lot was not connected to the sewer. The woman tried to do the application herself, did not realize that she would have to go and file the map with the health department, go through the health department review process. She had no legal representation. It was just a total debacle in terms of an application, and it took a lot of staff time to try to process it.
So minor subdivisions are less than 5 lots, 4 lots or less, correct?
4 lots or less.
Okay, so I don't think it's enough, and especially looking in what Southampton's charging at $800 a lot, that would be, you know, a lot more than what we're proposing here. So I think that we should probably do something similar to what Southampton is doing at $800 a lot.
Well, now that, I mean, Councilwoman, that raises the question, you know, we've sort of established, because we have for our site plan, you know, a $500 base fee plus 10 cents per square foot of disturbed area. You know, it's the town board's up for their consideration. We've established a $500 plus 200 per lot. Would you prefer a number, I mean, we can work out a number, would you prefer an even flat rate, or?
Exclusively talking about the minor subdivisions, that I would say it should be $800 per lot. Once you get into site plans, I think it's a different formula, because there is a lot more work that's involved, because you're looking at actual buildings that are going on the properties rather than actually just subdividing the land. So I think that for the work that's involved in a minor subdivision, I don't think that $1,300 is enough for a 4 lot.
I don't, you know what, that was 50, and you're making it 10 times at 500, now you wanna make it 800 times.
We haven't ever updated it, and it does,
Well, I
it
know
costs
that, but
more
you
than
know what I mean?
$200 to
I
take
know,
it
but
in
you-
and
you
review it.
You came up with 800 because you saw Southampton's number. You never saw
So-
Southampton number, you wouldn't have
So
said
the
that.
worst case scenario is $3,200 that they would have to pay for a minor subdivision to get 4 lots. And we're
I
exhausting
think
that
2,000.
money.
Right, no, it's 5, it'd be 1,100.
It'd be 4 times 800.
Well, it'd be 500 plus another 600.
No,
what
I'm
they're
saying,
proposing.
forget the 500, just
Well-
do $800
Well, I know what you're
a
saying,
lot.
I'm saying, no, I think 500 is good for a start.
Other towns have different procedures for an application. I'm not, we just kind of went through their code and pulled stuff out.
We didn't try to justify how they did their
Okay,
calculation.
yes, I was just wondering, with our charge, it's when the application comes in?
Correct.
But they charge $800 if somebody comes in as a pre-application to a pre-application, meeting, is that how it works?
I'm not, I could research that. I mean, I didn't really go into the in-depth process of actually
Okay.
making an application. As I said, we just sort of pulled these sections out of their subdivision regulations to have a comparison.
And yes, I believe it is for the pre-application. So they're collecting that money up front, and then they're also collecting the application fee once the application comes in.
And I mean, we also do, you know, we do also offer the Tuesday planning board meetings, at
Right.
which point a lot of these subdivision applications or any applications really come in. So I mean, that is a service that we are offering at no
Yeah.
charge to the applicant. So I mean, you know, we could incorporate that into, you know, discussing these fees.
You know
I'm not saying it, but it's something that should be considered, that, you know, we are offering this.
I'm not opposed to raising fees because you see yourself being not up to par with services rendered. But to arbitrarily just throw a number out there because another town's doing it, I like to see everything justified. everything justified.
Well, I
And
think-
that's why we
I
do
think-
Because they are gonna be taxpayers in this town, and they pay your salary, so I'm not gonna double charge them for you to work for them when you should be working for them.
But
So-
I think that was the point of the work that is included, and I believe you're saying that this
But that's why I
review
asked
is-
if that was typical.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, I think that you're agreeing that is typical for every minor subdivision that is submitted, you have to go through these steps regardless, to process the application.
It's an anomaly that you have a two-lot minor that doesn't have any issues. And
Right.
it was, hate to say it, it's kind of a running joke in the department. It's like, I'm gonna give you a softball application, Craig.
Yeah,
And
right.
it's a
Well,
two-lot
you
minor.
that's what you learn,
and
that's
it's-
for sure.
And $900 definitely does not cover the cost of staff time for a two-lot subdivision.
These fees,
Again, we were
these fees are
trying to
not-
be not overwhelming. Southampton is different from Riverhead, and we're trying to be somewhat, I hate to use reasonable, but this goes back, this is, I think, the fourth town I've worked in that we've done this sort of analysis. And it's a discussion that we have, I'm a member of American Planning Association. This is a discussion every single town is having across the country. There've been numerous publications on how much should a municipality charge for a review fee? Is it half the cost that it costs, in terms of services? Because when we review a subdivision, it's not just really for the benefit of the applicant, we're reviewing it for the neighbors across, because we protect their public health, safety, welfare also. So we try, the threshold that most towns try for nationwide is about 50%. So, and some town charges, they had the policy, like Southampton, they wanna charge more, that's fine, other towns wanna charge less, for whatever, the reason they choose. So,
I don't know why.
we felt that this was a reasonable number to start with.
I think, I'm certainly glad we're doing it.
I like
Clearly,
reasonableness.
it's long overdue.
Right.
But I mean, I think it's a good idea to start to be reasonable, and then we can always update it again.
I mean, there's gonna be some that are gonna be worth every bit of $1,100, and there'll be some that,
Well, it's not $1,100, the minor subdivision is just $500 plus, so it'll be
Yeah,
$700.
it's commensurate with each application, and yes,
Right, if it's
I
4
believe
acres, it'd be
there will be some sort of balance. I mean, there are gonna be the
There'll be
applications
some that are
that
slam
spend
dunk,
much
and then
more
some will
time
be
on,
like-
and there's gonna be some, so
Right,
I
it's like
think there
anything
will be a
else.
balance, but
Right.
when, in our discussions, these fees were not to make money. They're not, we're not considering them a revenue generator for the town.
Right. It's
These are really
reimbursement.
just to, strike a balance between staff time and resources and town resources versus, what the applicant's shouldering and the other burdens that are being placed on everybody, so.
Do you wanna go through them, and then we can go back, and then just, if we wanted to go through the fees instead of debating back and forth on each one?
just official permits.
Yeah, I just don't think that $1,300 is enough to review a 4-lot minor subdivision. And that's the maximum that you could charge. And it involves engineering and hiring an outside engineer to come in and look at the roads and the utilities and things of that.
Well,
So
that's
we're
for
not even covering
major
his costs.
subdivisions, correct. Major subdivisions do require road design, do require much more significant
Understood,
engineering, and that is addressed in the major subdivisions. Minor subdivisions, typically, that they have frontage on public roads, it doesn't involve the creation of any
No
sort of.
flag lots?
We've been getting away from them, for the most part, but, yeah, for the most part, minor subdivisions don't have the same level of engineering that major subdivisions will.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, would you like to?
I think go through,
all of them?
do you
Alright,
what you
so-
wanna discuss, and then we can go back maybe and discuss as a whole.
Alright, so special permits was one change that we were making. Right now, our special permit fees are $500 for a special permit for buildings or land disturbance less than 4,000 square feet, and $2,000 for buildings and land disturbance greater than 4,000 square feet. The special permit fee for the less than 4,000 square feet is the only one that we are proposing changes to. We're proposing to increase from 500 to 1,000. Now, one special permit that I took as an example was the Glass Greenhouse Bistro. This was a special permit application on which a $500 fee was paid. It was all interior work, there was no ground disturbance, so it fell under the less than 4,000 square foot. So for that $500 fee, that was supposed to cover staff review of the special permit application, site inspection, correspondence with the applicant and involved agencies, preparation review of staff reports, research into the original approvals of the farm stand and finding the conditions of that, review of old files, planning reports, resolutions, secret review, town board work session presentation, town board public hearing, and it's noted that this application is still not completed or approved yet, so there will be at least one more work session.
Why is that?
And then the preparation.
Let's get it going.
I believe we're waiting on some
I
additional
think,
information
yeah.
from the applicant on that one. So, you know, that one is still pending, so there will be further staff time and your time involved in the approval or
Well,
denial of that
next week.
application.
So that's just the addition of bumping from 500 to 1,000 in that.
Yes, and that was just for the disturbance less than 4,000
square feet. Okay.
The other one we did not change.
Preliminary.
Just out of curiosity, when was the last time these fees were reviewed and adjusted?
I'm looking at them,
We entertained it probably like 6 years ago, I
yeah,
think.
2007 is the latest date I see on any of the fees I'm looking at.
Okay,
Before I was-
so it's been 12 years since there's been
That's
any
crazy.
adjustment in the fees.
That's crazy.
And we've also proposed changes to zoning board of appeals application
Let's
fees.
go through the chart, preliminary.
Oh, I wanna go through, all right, so, now these are dealing with major subdivisions in this next category. The preliminary subdivision, we currently have a $250 base fee plus $200 per lot for engineering fees. We're proposing just an increase in that base fee to $500, just to be commensurate with the rest of our applications. There are final subdivision fees, which if all fees up until that point have been paid, there's no additional fees incurred. And there's also industrial subdivision application fees. Right now, they are currently $100 per lot for the sketch plan. We're proposing a $500 base fee plus $200 per lot. For the preliminary plat for an industrial subdivision fee, right now it's $5 per acre or $500, whichever is greater. We're just proposing an increase to $20 per acre or $500. And then the engineering fees for the industrial subdivision is $100 per lot. We're proposing the $500 plus $200 per lot for an industrial subdivision. And that's just due to the intensity of the potential use of an industrial subdivision, again, creation of roads, drainage, you know, consideration for dedication to town highways, that sort of thing.
What's a plat?
A plat is one version of the subdivision map.
ZBA?
Zoning Board of Appeals, we've also taken a look at and analyzed. Right now, we have, I'll break them up for residential zoning board applications. Right now, we have a residential use variance, which in my almost 3 years with the town, I've never come across a residential use variance, so I'm not sure what that would look like exactly.
Raise the fee then.
Well, right now, that application would be $150, we're proposing a $500 fee. Dimensional variance, setback variance, right now is $150, we're proposing $300. And an interpretation for residential, right now is $150, we're proposing $300.
One reason why you see some of these fees, a lot of these people are thinking that these fees, because they're so low, they think it's almost like a permit that you apply to the zoning board and you get it. For a use variance for residential, that means you have a residentially zoned property that you wanna change it to something other than residential. That's gonna require a lot of staff time, a lot of review to review that, because you're going from a very benign use to something that's obviously gonna be much more
Well, we've had it in
intense.
reverse, we've had people take commercial but residential, like on.
But
And
you have
then-
to prove economic hardship, so you have to have experts to
Right.
say that there is an economic hardship.
So the
to go-
$150 is.
Not in line with the work
No.
that's equated with it.
And that's exactly what all of these fees are about.
So just to give you one
What's the
idea.
sign- What's the sign say, did you get into that, the sign?
Yeah, we haven't gotten to that yet.
Oh, okay.
So just to get, now we'll go through commercial. Right now, a commercial use variance is 500, we're proposing 1,000. Dimensional variance for commercial is remaining the same, and then interpretations for commercial is proposed to increase from 500 to 1,000. ZBA sign fees are being proposed to increase from 150 to 500. Now, just to give you a little hit, there was one application from the Zoning Board of Appeals, which I've highlighted here and given some details. This was for the Overlook Drive LLC application. For this application, there was a $150 fee paid. That was supposed to cover staff review of the application, plans, associated documents, distribution of all correspondence to involved agencies, research into adjacent subdivisions, again, digging into old files, resolutions, approved subdivisions, et cetera. Review of zoning, of the application by zoning board council and the title certification. Secret review by planning staff. Scheduling of a public hearing and associated correspondence. Legal notice prepared and distributed for a public hearing. Now, for this application, there were 4 separate zoning board hearings, and there is still further documentation required from the applicant, so there will be more. Recording of the zoning board of appeals minutes, posting on the website, drafting minutes to review, to distribute to the town board members, zoning board determination preparation, distribution of plans, filing with the town clerk, et cetera. So again, you know.
It's an intensive amount of work.
Correct, and again, now this is not every application, but there will be a balance, you know, we expect, you know, you will have some that'll go above and beyond, and then you'll have some that are, I don't wanna say quick and easy, but there'll be some that'll be
Less
much less
intense.
controversial and less intense, yes.
Now, is the 500 commercial and residential? Because I see Southwold breaks it down.
For which one, which one are you talking about, interpretations? or-
ZBA signs,
No, ours would be for residential or commercial, it's just one fee.
because I see, I too have to say, that's a big difference from Southwold, which is 1,500 something for a commercial and 500 for residential.
I don't think we've ever seen a sign for residential.
What is the sign?
I'm sorry?
What is this, the signs?
For example, somebody wants to come in and increase the size of their sign on Route 58. And at $150, they think it's just a permit, and that they can go in, because the fee is so low,
Right,
it does not, and the amount of time that it takes to process it, $150 doesn't cost it, so it becomes almost de facto a permit.
What about the move a sign?
Do
Same
it.
thing?
Do it?
To move a
To
sign?
move a sign. One time I had to reposition a sign and I had to go to the ZBA to
I
get
think
a
if it-
denial, so I could
If
go
it
to
didn't
the-
meet setbacks, or if there was,
Yeah, right,
if
didn't
there
make
was some
feedback.
sort of
Right,
section in the
that's a separate
code.
field, yeah.
That's a separate.
Yeah, these are just for,
That's
you
like
know, the,
250 or something.
Correct.
yeah.
Mostly it's for, commercial, properties on like Route 58, they want a bigger sign.
I think you guys did a great job in preparing this. I think that you've done your research, what it takes to do these in figuring out your prices. I think that, you know, you've looked to other towns. I think that, there is a change in it, and I think that, you know, we're not looking to other towns that may have upped their fees higher, but we're looking to be able to cover our costs in the work that or cover some of the costs more so than we're doing now.
Right.
So I'm okay with this. I don't know how.
well, we're not arbitrarily raising our fees, we're looking at data.
We're not creating another 255
I
fiasco.
just, exactly what I'm thinking.
No, I just wanna look at it, do
Yeah.
some research, I mean, I appreciate this, I mean,
Baby
like I said,
steps here.
cost of living goes up, I get it.
Yeah, and if,
But I
even with
just don't
these
like to
increases,
overburden.
yeah, even with these increases, we're not covering 100%, not even close to 100%
Right.
of the cost.
Well,
And I'm gonna
nor
go,
should you be.
Right.
once
Because we do
again,
it for everybody's
Right,
benefit, not
you're a
just.
public service as well as,
Correct.
once again, I know I have asked this, but for the posting of public hearings or buildings, when people doing it, I know we want the bigger signs. Are they going up? Are people using the bigger signs for the
Yep.
commercial?
I forget which ones I think it was just for zoning board subdivisions, I forget which, but I think we only have the 2 applications, we didn't get them for everything, cause I think we just wanted to focus on.
I think they should be used for all commercial, anything that is commercial. I think that the sign should be the 3 feet by 2 feet, because there's so many times people come in and say, I didn't know there was anything going on there, I didn't see it. I think the commercial should be required to post the largest sign that can be visible for the public, so that they realize that there is something going on there and they can see them.
small, it's 32 square feet.
And Mr. Wooten, just to your point, when these applications are reviewed, supposedly.
Mr.
Oh.
Do not ever make that mistake
He's
again.
not quite that big, he's not quite that bald.
Well, just to your point, you know, when you mentioned fiasco, when these applications are received, if someone did pay the original fee, if they weren't aware of these fee changes, they would be informed that that application fee had changed. You know, so it wouldn't create a big fiasco.
Right.
In our.
Yeah, once the application's been made, we're not gonna go back and ask them for.
Well, once it's, if and when it goes PIP hearing gets passed, you just put, you know, effective on da-da-da, these will
Correct.
be the new
Right.
fee judgment.
Yeah, correct.
Good
All right,
work.
guys, thank you very much. Thank you both.
$1,600 for lot division because you wanna be more than South Hampton.
No, they didn't do that, they did it based on the work.
All right, next we will move on to monthly public safety report.
I'm dying, my stomach's going crazy.
As long as you brought us snacks.
I didn't bring any snacks.
All right, out.
Oh, yeah, that's it. It's a big, I'm only gonna be about 45 minutes,
Oh,
so I hope you
Jesus.
that.
I want a holster like that, chief. gotta give me a holster like that.
Okay, what do we have?
We'll have a holster, I don't know.
As a town board member.
Okay.
I will be right back, I'm sorry.
What are we doing?
We're just gonna take.
Oh, no,
short
I
minutes,
didn't
I'm
hear it,
sorry.
did you?
Be right back.
They left us.
Sorry.
Chief, I already read this. You sent this to me.
I know, well, just in
Actually,
case you have any,
I think it's ridiculous, but that's me.
What's ridiculous?
Coming every month to talk about the car in that town.
Good. And the chief doesn't know.
Stop wasting our staff's time.
Rex, got a snack?
I'm gonna go to sleep, that's what I need. You got cell service in here?
Big Billy.
It's just that area.
What? Numbers, numbers, numbers.
Fingerprints is bad.
Numbers are my life.
We are still on camera, just not to say we're saying anything bad, but just let you know.
Well, no, I'm just saying that was the latest of all the fees of previous withdrawal, that was the latest time we look at any of the plans. So some of them went back to.
What the monthly?
I got the, yeah, last month,
January, February.
yeah, February, right? Yeah, too many, that's what happened, yeah.
Okay.
And the last time I was here, you had January, or was that the?
January was last time.
I think you got the December last time I was here, so. These are all the stuff,
Yeah, the January's out. You weren't here last month?
Laura, since it was a really short break, we are still live, just.
Okay.
Don't say anything bad about Larry, I can.
Is the board going for all of these?
Yes, the resolution, there'll be separate resolutions, but there'll be resolutions for all of them, so if somebody has a debate over one, they won't be tied together.
Okay. This is like one really big murder, I guess.
One big, really big crime stat.
MVAs. Oh, yeah. That's cool that you can do those now.
Yeah, now it is pretty good, so. I don't have to have those out, thank you, Tim.
I'm not even, we're still live on camera, just so you know.
Oh, good thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Happy Pie Day.
Is it, it is, it's,
It
is it
3.14.
national?
3.14, Pie Day. Sorry for saying that before lunch.
We got breakfast, into lunchtime,
Right
maybe
to
get to
dinner.
dinner. Yeah.
I was woken up by gunshots,
This
2:20 in the morning, not last night, the night before. Police cars, lights.
Oh,
that's not a good thing, right? It was a deer.
Put them down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My kids were like, "Did you hear that?" I said, "Yeah, I heard it. I thought it was your mother snoring at first, but."
Sure, she
I'm like,
appreciated
"Yep,
that.
That's a gunshot. Got up in the morning, saw Bambi out there, and
One time we had a possum that was, circling and circling and circling and circling, and going back and was like out during the day, all day,
Right.
coming
I
back.
got it.
And then one of the officers came, they put a box over it, we were trying to see if we could get it up, but it was, there was something wrong
Time.
with it, yeah.
Yeah.
Had a raccoon like that once too.
Possums are some of the ugliest
Oh.
creatures.
Sure.
John, do you want to see if everybody's ready to start again, please?
We're doing exactly after this too.
We gotta do resolutions yet, though.
Yep. Getting ready to get my auctioneer's voice to go through the resolution.
Yeah. I have a cap at 2:30, cap meeting.
All right, well, we should. You were back in here this
Yeah.
fast. Jim's not having smoke, I'm sure.
He is.
Here he comes.
All right, Mr. Wooten, we're waiting on you. Okay, so go ahead. Yep.
Okay, we're pretty well status quo.
Okay.
Some things are up a little, some things are down a little, so I think we're in good shape. So the first is the monthly
I know
report
they're
you
gonna tell you
see.
to talk up louder.
The first is the monthly that I gave you.
Mhm.
Just wanna add some new things in here. Then you have crime by sector was the next set. Crime by tour
Thank you
was
for
the
doing
next
that.
set. The-
Which
the-
one are you on here?
Yeah, so the
This
first,
one, okay.
right.
Yeah, that's good.
Then arrest by sector is the one with the graph on it. We have the OD stats, which, happy to say, no fatalities last month.
Good.
And, Narcan uses were a total of 4.
Okay.
The one you asked for last time, which I included this time, is the MVA map,
Okay.
which, I mean, really, I haven't really analyzed it that well.
Okay.
At first glance, I'd say, you know, main intersections are our busiest places for
So this,
actions. This is a
could you
heat.
just explain the graph?
Yeah, so
here?
this is a heat map,
Okay,
so it kind of, you know, bunches these together to give you where the most happened.
okay, so this is Roanoke here?
Yeah, Roanoke.
Okay,
So you can see a Roanoke traffic circle, then down to Main Street in Roanoke, Mill Road and 58. So we can look at it both ways. You can put it into a heat map, which is the top, and then the next one is the individual accidents. So we can now actually point to each one and look at that. They'll bring it right up for us, the MVA and stuff like that, so.
And
How
this-
red that traffic circle is. That's a big, advantage.
and this is a 1 month period?
This
or
is, no, it looks at the last 12 months.
12 months, okay, I was gonna say, that's a lot.
Right.
I know, I was worried about it.
Okay. So with something like this, right, so if we have these hot spots here, what can we do to reduce in the hot spots, what's going on?
Teach people how to
Yeah,
drive.
Really, right. 5 rules of driving or whatever, right. They're busy intersections, high-traveled roads, so, accidents are gonna happen. If people learn how to drive and pay attention, not on their cell phones, the whole 9 yards. What are your thoughts on the circle over on Peconic Avenue? Not good. Right? Yeah. I drive that every day. I think the south side of that, no, I should say the north side of that, something's gotta be fixed there.
Yeah, right.
They have the 2 lanes going to 1 lane.
It's
Yeah.
very confusing.
Right, I think they should make the southbound
confusing.
Peconic lane, the, west lane, I think they should make that continuous right onto 24.
I agree.
And then push the circle to the left
Left
side,
lane.
left side
I
of
agree.
that. I don't know why.
There's nothing worse than dropping my cell phone because I hit somebody. There's nothing worse than that.
All right, very good.
And there's not even any development over there yet. Wait until they build the 1,000 apartments and everything else that they have going on
2,000.
over there. It's just gonna exasperate it.
Yeah, as I say, the south side of that, I think they did a good job, like ours. It's the north side that's the problem.
But even
I
then,
haven't talked
ours
to-
is very well done, but it's a very high accident.
Yeah, well, that's right.
All right, because people aren't paying attention and they
So,
go around the
a
circle.
lot of cars going into one area,
Yeah,
Roanoke and 58.
you're exactly right.
And then this is over by Martha Clara, these other like little
Right, so
spots here, what are those?
this is Northville here
Okay,
and Sound.
okay.
And then probably just pick out the intersections on the way out, Church, probably
Okay.
right here. I mean, I could blow this up, we could look at anything we wanna look at, so.
I'm just kinda curious, you know, how useful is this information, cause I know we had the traffic task force. If we were looking for possible, you know, intersections where we might need people to direct traffic during the fall season, I'm just wondering if any of that information can be garnered out of this, so we know where, sort of the most egregious intersections are to be able to address that.
So as I say, we can drill down on this, so we can actually look at that intersection and see what time frame they happened in,
Okay.
if it was during the fall or just throughout the whole year kind of
Okay,
thing.
all right, yeah, that might be good to,
So that was the first
very
class
good,
I
thank
had
you.
it.
I'm trying to see where the circle is on Osborne. Not a big hot
Not a
spot.
big hotspot, no.
Right.
But
The circle on Osborne isn't on the map, so it must not be a hot spot.
Osborne in the middle.
That's what I just said.
It's just a little shaded blue, I would say.
Right.
A little bit.
Not,
just a
not
bend to
red,
bend.
not red. What else? Oh, I hope everyone saw the press conference from the district attorney.
Mhm.
So that was really big. It was the third time in Suffolk County that they've actually
Yeah,
charged a dealer with manslaughter for an OD.
yeah.
So, I just wanna say that was, and it's a teamwork on that, so it was excellent work on the first responding officer at the scene, all the way through to the East End Drug Task Force, to our detectives, all the way up to, Mr. Cindy's office, so.
Good job to
Yeah,
everybody.
no, great job.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And great job on the radio ad that you guys all put together with the
Yes, I
chiefs
have it. I just
in
spoke to-
Southampton and
I just
Riverhead.
spoke to Larry, and I have it, so I just have to send it to him, and he'll put it on our
Yeah,
too.
it's a great, you worked with CAP with that, or was that just East End
That
Drug
was-
Task
that
Force?
That was the opioid task force
Yeah,
from Southampton.
right.
With,
Drew
Captain
Scott.
Are you on it?
Skonecki
Right.
was
Did
involved
you show
in it,
him
Drew
on it?
Scott.
Yeah, so it was the five
Fantastic.
town chiefs, police chiefs. They had some students there, Drew Scott and his granddaughter,
I think it was his,
or niece maybe,
maybe,
something
no,
like
I think
that.
it was his
But
granddaughter.
that died, right?
And so it was another relative.
Fantastic, great
Yeah,
job.
Yeah, you'll see me soon on 22.
Yay, can't wait.
Just
Do
can't
you
wait.
just address the new sector downtown, what's going on with that?
Sure, so the new sector downtown is, being staffed as needed right now. I would hope that when the weather breaks, it will be continuous, so. They're doing, I looked at the stats, there's not too much activity down there, as far as arrests and stuff like that, but, they're doing their job, they're getting around, they're up on, Railroad Avenue, at the train station, so I hear good reports from the officers that are out there doing it, so.
Okay. I know that the parking, study has come through for the different time parkings. Is that shared with you guys yet?
I didn't see it.
Okay, so we'll get that over to you.
I'd like to see it, I mean, and
Um,
discuss it as a board, cause I know it's just a draft right now,
No,
so
I'm not
chief
showing
should
it.
probably be involved in that also.
We can do that, no problem. Trying to think what, there was one, as far as the cameras, I know that, yeah.
I spoke to, John yesterday, I spoke to Mark this morning. Mark had called me like a couple days ago, I haven't been able to get back in touch with him, I spoke to him this morning. He's going to
This
come
is
out.
from A1.
A plus technology,
A+,
right.
yeah.
He's gonna come out, so we're gonna sit down and, look at the first two pieces to try to get that solidified, cause there has to be a study done by the, don't ask me what, the person that's going to.
The person that does that?
No, the person that takes, how we're getting it here. So it's gotta be the clear line of sight, they have to test that it'll go through and stuff like that, so that's another fee that wasn't listed on there, so we're going to try to focus in on that front piece, get that set, maybe get that in place, and then move on to the other pieces.
Okay.
That was a great field trip.
Yeah, it was a great, they had some great technology,
was
holy
amazing,
mackerel.
yeah. What they could do, I couldn't believe, zero in.
And one other question, the stats that go in here, how are they, do we use a program or?
Our RMS is QED. Most of these, so if you look at like crime by sector and crime by tour, that's all coming like straight off QED, right?
Okay.
But then she takes, Billy Joe takes them off of here and puts them into this
That one, okay.
format here.
Okay.
Right.
I was just trying, because we had that discrepancy
Right.
last week, so there is some human, it's not all
Yes.
done by the computer system. Okay, I just
Correct.
wanted to clarify that.
So we're, hopefully moving to a new RMS. The county is proposing that, they're getting a new RMS and they want us all to be on it.
And could you just update everybody on the rave from the
Yes.
school?
The Rave app is, we had the kickoff installation meeting, which,
If you guys don't know, the rave app is an application, that I think came out of the county to the school districts. We're given the rave app so that if there is I guess an
Active shooter.
active shooter, in the school, that the app can then identify to the police department their location, really, as opposed to just a 911 call coming into the whole building.
It gives us a lot more information when, it's like a panic button on your cell phone, so, teachers are able to utilize that. I believe teachers, might be just administration at this point, able to utilize that. It comes right to our headquarters, so we'll get not only the 911 call, but we'll get a tone too that goes with that, so you really can't miss it. And then there's other information that comes in with it, so as the supervisor says, there's a GPS coordinate on it, so it's gonna actually pinpoint within that school where that call's coming from, so. Which we also had success with the, that lockdown we had last week or 2
Yes,
weeks
it was,
ago, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was pinpointed right in the school, which gave us that uneasy.
And that came
feeling,
from the
so.
Rave app?
No, that's not yet.
The Rave app
That
is
was
not
right.
up and active at,
Correct. So the Rave app, so we had a kickoff meeting to start the installation, which really wasn't too much of a meeting, but, they needed certain things from us, so they needed a dedicated, I'm gonna say desktop, to run, their server part on it, or their software on it. And then they need to know how our 911 lines come in and how they go out. So we put Carousel, who's now the vendor instead of Verizon for 911.
Chief.
They put Carousel, I put Carousel in touch with the Rave people, so hopefully they'll talk and we'll be,
because this was rolled out
Up
and
and
kind of
running soon.
rolled out because most dispatchers went to a central dispatch for Suffolk County. The East End towns were, I'm gonna say, sort of overlooked in the application of the process. I know that there was a lot of concern at the school district that we were not there, and there's been some confusion to try and get the app up and working, but the chief has been working.
we'll be the first ones
Right,
on
to be
these.
able to do that. We've been working with the school district, so I'm happy to say that it's gonna be online soon.
The problem was, Frez, Suffolk County Fire Rescue, had, and then they're a secondary answering point for 911 up in the county. They had Smart 911 on their system, which then turned into Smart 911 morphed into kind of Rave, or another section of it was Rave. So they automatically had the Rave app up at the county. So then the county exec said, we'll get it to all the schools then, not realizing that,
There was no interface.
right, there's no other, we have other PSAPs out here besides Frez that take the 911 call. But I think that's all been straightened out. The county's now actually paying for our installation.
Good.
We just have to pay for the seats or the software for each one of our
Monitors.
communication seats, so.
Okay.
And basically that'll be 2 seats. We have 4 seats up there, but we're getting 2 seats at $4,000 apiece for $8,000 annually. And that'll be soup to nuts. We'll have everything. We'll have Smart 911 and all the bells and whistles.
Now, how often do we have active shooter drills?
Often. I would say at least annually, if not more than that. And we run it in conjunction, not that we run it in
And you
conjunction.
have it at the school?
We have it at the school. So we do our own at the school, we do it in conjunction with the county at the school. The county, when they do it at schools or hospitals and stuff like that, they do it in conjunction with us. They'll invite us up to run through it, so I would say definitely more than annually, at
Do you
least
try to use a
biannually.
different school each time you do it?
We have used different schools. We've been at Riley, we've been at Pulaski, we've been at the high school, so.
Cause now you got an empty Mercy High School, it'd be great for practice.
We did the hospital too, so
Right.
we're up there.
Right.
All right. Thank you
Good.
very much.
No
Yep.
problem.
Thank you.
Any
very
other
much.
questions?
Nope.
Nope, okay, thank you.
Good job, Chief.
Great job,
Glad to
Chief.
see that you're on TV now.
And this,
Well, at least the back of my head's on TV.
No, he
That's
means
when the
in
wide
the,
lens is on.
Oh, right, you mean the, yeah, wait till you see that.
What's that?
It's good,
It's good. It's good. You liked it?
public, yeah, the PSA is very good.
See what, you in the commercial?
What is this?
Sure, come on up.
Reminder independent oil.
Bob's gonna join us.
More discussion items?
One more, if I could. It's an easy one, I promise. It's a de minimis. It's a softball.
Famous last words, Jeff.
Is this one of the, what is this one?
This is the TDR, where we inadvertently deleted a section of the code last year when we readopted it.
Did you give this to us already?
I thought I did, and I couldn't find it, and I was told by the press, I gave it to you
I
already.
have it, yeah.
So I apologize that we gave it to you already.
Article,
Bob, come on.
Article 42?
What's the article number, Bob?
Yeah,
Yep.
that's the correct article number. And what happened was, we did a repeal and replace. And the repeal and replace dealt with the two.
Redundancy with the plan variance, is that what it is?
With the Calverton Manor, and we readopted them last year.
Right.
But when we did it, we struck out the amendments part of it, because that wasn't part of the original.
Okay.
And so we forgot to put that back in. So, oops. We wanna correct that, oops,
ASAP.
yes.
Well, part
Because
of
it does, it has affected one
Yeah,
application.
it is something that was added, but it wasn't part of the 2005 legislation that was declared infirm. So the idea was to get the 2005 legislation that had been knocked out back on the books.
Right.
So that's why only the 2005 legislation. The idea was to come back with the additional amendment, and we kinda
I get it.
forgot.
Okay, makes sense.
Okay.
So this is just to clean it up and get it back to the full TDR legislation that was on the books before that repeal and replace.
Okay,
All right?
okay, very good.
That was it, sorry, and thank you for that.
That's okay.
Welcome.
That was pretty fast.
Yeah. Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Just one thing that I wanted to mention, the town is seeking applications for the Independent Audit Committee, for, the responsibilities for the audit committee, oversee the adequacy of internal controls, assurance compliance, and establishing policies and procedures, appraisal program performance, in the conduct of financial compliance and performance audits, and reports materials findings with recommended corrective action. So we're looking for a Riverhead Town resident. We have put this out before, but we would like to put it out again. If anybody is interested, they can contact the town clerk's office, to file a request for, to participate.
Did somebody leave?
Yeah, for a short one, and then new people have to break.
I'll be a few
That's
days.
all.
I have to go. I've read through the resolutions and I don't have any problem with them. The only one that I questioned was the CDBG grant money, because I know that, they had come forward and asked for that program with the police department. I can't think of it.
The ramp?
Butch Langhorn came,
Council for Unity?
Council for Unity, and I don't see them in there. That's the only one that I had a question about
Where you going?
for the CDBG. What do you mean? I have
Oh, no.
kids needing to be picked up. My phone was dead. I run out to the car and.
Jody, I believe, just on your
I
comment
think
about CDBG, I believe that's 2019, this is adopted 2018, but I can get information
Okay,
before.
and do I ask you where you're going when you get up and leave?
I'll tell you.
All right, I am going to move on to resolutions. Authorizes the town clerk to publish and post a public notice to consider a local law to amend Article 2, Chapter 105, entitled Appeals Board of the Town of Riverhead. 2 is authorizes town clerk to publish and post a notice of public hearing to consider local law for an amendment to Chapter 263, entitled Rental Dwelling Units of the Riverhead Town Code. 3 is approves the Chapter 255 application of the Riverhead Central School District 5K, entitled R2R Run to Remember, Sunday, May 19th, 2019.
Good night.
4 is approves the Chapter 255 application of the Long Island Moose Classic Car Show, September 8th, 2019. 5 is approves Chapter 255 application of the Riverhead Cheer Booster Club, Inc., Riverhead Central School District 5K Run, entitled Riverhead Color Blast Run, Saturday, June 1st, 2019, and the Color Blast Run is a lot of fun.
Oh, we gotta move this.
6 is approves the Chapter 255 application of the Long Island Moose Classic Car Show, that would be May 4th, 2019.
We'll put those together.
Okay.
Is that the one by the river?
Well, two different dates.
Yeah, I think it's a
but if
different
they
date.
go one after the other, it's neater.
7 is appoints water treatment plant operator training to the Riverhead Water District. 8 is appoints a part-time environmental planner. 9 is grants excavation exportation permit as provided by Chapter 229 to Flora and Irwin LLC. 10 is declares certain highway department vehicles, equipment, obsolete surplus property that authorizes the town clerk to publish advertisement for sale of obsolete surplus highway department vehicles and equipment. 11 is resolution calling a public hearing regarding lateral water main extension for the proposed vistas. 12 is authorized to publish advertisement for townwide printing 2019. Next is authorized application to NYSCA on behalf of the BIDMA. 14 is authorize the supervisor to execute an agreement authorizing the town to accept funds from the Suffolk County Office for the Aging for the purpose of supplementing the town's nutrition program for the elderly. 15 is authorizes the supervisor to execute an agreement authorizing the town to accept funds from Suffolk County Office for the Aging to supplement the town's residential repair program for the elderly. 16 is public interest order in the matter of, bless you, in the matter of the increase and improvement of facilities of Riverhead Water District in the town of Riverhead, Suffolk County, New York. 17 is authorizes the release of foundation security for Island Water Park. 18 is authorizes the supervisor to execute a municipal works license agreement with CSAC LLC.
Oh, it says musical.
Yeah. 19 is authorized town clerk to publish and post notice to consider a local law to amend article, which one is this one? This is 42? No.
That's 57.
57, sorry. Chapter 301 entitled Special Permits of the Riverhead Town Code. 20 is authorizes town clerk to publish and post a public notice of public hearing to consider a proposed local law to amend chapter 255
That's
entitled.
duplicate from what you adopted.
Okay. We'll strike that.
Yeah.
21 is authorizes the removal of fixed assets. 22 is authorizes town clerk to publish and post public notice to consider a local law to amend article, can't even see that, 52, chapter 301 entitled Subdivision Regulations of Riverhead Town Code. 23 is adopt a local law to amend chapter 289 entitled Vehicles, Traffic, and Parking Regulations of the Riverhead Town Code. 24 is awards bid for credit card payment processing, debit card payment processing, and electronic check payment processing for the benefit of the general public in various town departments, offices, and facilities.
Who got that?
What was that?
So who got that?
That's the Forte?
Forte's the one that got it?
Yeah. 25 is to appoint the local law of Shiranak,
Steinrich.
Steinrich, sorry. Is this on here? Or is this, okay. Kozakov and Messina LLC to act as special trial counsel for the Board of Assessors. 26 is award bid contract for fertilizer and lawn chemicals. 27 is authorizes town clerk to publish and post a notice of public hearing to consider local law for an amendment to chapter 249 entitled Mobile Home and Travel Trailer Parks of the Riverhead Town Code. 28 is Hotel Indigo Sewer Connection Project number 20024 budget adjustment. 29 is 1760 Old Country Road Sewer Extension Capital Improvement Project number 81901 budget adoption. 30 is CDBG 2018 program budget adoption. 31 is authorizes grant application to the Long Island Community Foundation for the Riverhead After School Mentoring Program, known as RAMP. 32 is authorizes additional grant match to grant awarded pursuant to New York State, how do you say that one? LIREDC, LIRE, whatever that is. Consolidating funding application and authorizing the supervisor to execute documents required to effectuate the grant. 33 is authorize the supervisor to execute agreement with Riverhead Lacrosse Inc. for referee umpire services for the town of Riverhead Police Athletic League girls grades K through 8 and boys grades K through 3 lacrosse program for the 2019 calendar year. And 34 is authorizes the supervisor to execute an agreement with the Suffolk Youth Lacrosse officials and referee umpire services for the town of Riverhead Police Athletic League boys lacrosse program grades 4 through 8 for 2019 calendar year. There's no girls lacrosse there?
Yeah, the first one was.
This is boys fourth through 8.
So there's no girls 4 through 8?
Yeah, the girls were in the other one, they were
Oh,
K
okay, they
through
were
8.
K through 8, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right, I think that's it. Did I get everything?
you got everything, so far.
Not all that I got.
And then the TDR one from
Right.
Jeff. You need me to read that again? Okay. Can I get a first and second to go into executive session? The one first is personnel matters regarding the resignation and hiring of employees. Second is contractual negotiations with Civil Service Employees Association Local 1000, AFS, CME, AFL, CIO. Negotiations regarding the renewal of a contract, and negotiating regarding a stipulation with the Riverhead Superior Officers Association, and current litigation in the matter of Oak Hills versus Woodson. First?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
So carried.
You can't oppose it.
What?